The latest attack on the U.S. power grid, systems in Connecticut were hacked in a cyber attack. Defenses presented any interruption this time. With warning of mass civilian fatalities if the grid does go down, why are the politicians worried more about our finding out about these attacks through what they call leaks than how they plan to protect us? Let's ask one politician who's been fighting to get the word out, Arizona Congressman Trent Franks, who is chairman of the EMP caucus. Good evening, Congressman.
Good evening, Judge. Thanks for having me on.
All right, Congressman, I was in D.C. a couple weeks ago, and I sat in an Energy and Commerce Committee meeting, and what I saw was Senator Mary Landrieu and Murkowski. They were so upset that we all heard about the San Jose event, and they weren't questioning the witnesses who were there based on, you know, what are we going to do about this attack, but instead, how did this get out? What's going on with these lawmakers?
Well, there was some concern on the part of even the FERC people as to the indications that a small number of substations could have such a large effect on our entire grid. And I understand that concern, but the bottom line is that if we would be more concerned about a solution rather than we are about terrorists finding out things that they already know, I think we'd be serving the much better in this country.
Well, you know, Congressman, what I thought was amazing was that all of the outrage regarding this attack in San Jose was after it was made public to us by the Wall Street Journal. So if these senators and these Congress people were so concerned, they would have gotten involved immediately after, but instead they waited until a year later to say, I am outraged at this, and I'm not so outraged at what happened to our grid. I'm more outraged that you Americans heard about it. I thought I was on another planet. I thought I was in the Twilight Zone.
Yes, ma'am. You know, one of the great enigmas of human history is that somehow it seems like there has to be blood on the wall for every threat that faces us before we respond to it. And I'll never understand that. You know, there are always voices that try to warn the populace about these challenges. And for some reason, we're just not willing to really look at things dispassionately and just see if we think that these risks are real and deal with it not on the basis of politics or on the basis of what people might think of us, but on the basis of trying to serve the American people and the cause of freedom itself.
You know, I was reading, Congressman, that there are other countries whose grids are very protected. China's grid is protected. There are a few other countries where their grids are protected. Everyone knows that our grid is like a third world country. I mean, you know, what do we have to do to move Congress on this?
Well, you know, when you mention China, it's important to keep in mind that China has a very sophisticated offensive capability in the area of EMP, so they recognize the significant danger to themselves if it were used against them. I just returned last night from Israel and from England, and both of those countries are outrunning us in terms of their response to this issue. And I hope that now with the cyber attack in Connecticut, that finally we're beginning to understand that our potential opponents recognize the significance that the grid represents to civilization itself. And I have some hopes that we're going to really respond in a better way in the future. We have the SIPA bill, the Critical Infrastructure Protection Act, that I'm sponsoring that is promised hearing in the next month. And so I'm encouraged, but I will never
let's hope it happens.
Be able. Yeah, well, let's hope it does.
Congressman, we're going to stay on this, and hopefully you'll have the hearing soon, and we'll be there when that happens. Congressman Trent Franks, thanks so much for joining us, and thanks for what you do. And coming up, more on the power grid. If the lights go out, how many of us actually survive?